Single Dad's heartbreaking interview failure exposed you won't believe the life-changing twist. It was a crisp fall morning in Maplewood, the air infused with the scent of damp earth and turning leaves. Mike, a 34-year-old single father, felt the weight of the day settle on his shoulders like a heavy quilt. He stood in front of the mirror, straightening his collar, wrestling with a knot of anxiety in his chest. Just a year ago, he and his beloved wife had dreamed of a future filled with possibility. Now, she was gone, taken by cancer, and he was left with 2 beautiful children and a mountain of debt. The job interview at the new manufacturing company was the golden ticket he desperately needed. It held the promise of consistent pay and a chance to escape the chaotic juggling act of his 2 jobs, stacking shelves at the local supermarket and flipping pancakes at the 24-hour diner. His kids, Lily and Sam, deserved more than this struggle, this constant grind that blurred the edges of happiness. As he walked to his car, Mike couldn't help but notice the vibrant reds and golds of the leaves outside. They reminded him of the joy he once felt. Yet, there was no time for wandering thoughts, no time for nostalgia. He needed this job. Arriving at the office, the sterile environment set his teeth on edge. Bright lights, polished floors, a receptionist who barely glanced his way. Then came the interview. The man across the desk wore a suit that screamed authority, eyes cold and critical. "So, you've been working 2 jobs? How does that look on a resume?" He sneered, peeling away Mike's pride, layer by layer. The questions became sharper, more pointed, digging deep into his insecurities. The interviewer focused on Mike's current circumstances instead of his potential, dismissing him before he even got to speak. Mike could feel the room close in. It crushed him, left him shattered, questioning his worth as a father, a provider. He left the office feeling like the earth had crumbled beneath his feet. As he drove home, tears stung his eyes. His heart ached for his children. Could he really give them what they needed? He pulled into the driveway, seeing Lily and Sam playing in the yard. But their laughter only deepened his sadness. How could he tell them that their dad just failed at something they needed him to succeed at? Days passed, and the struggle only grew heavier. The shadows of judgment from neighbors felt more pronounced. He used to be a part of this community, sharing beers on porches and helping each other out. Now he felt invisible, a ghost of the man he once was. Just as despair threatened to swallow him whole, Lily, with her bright smile and kind heart, took to social media. In a burst of vulnerability, she posted a heartfelt message about her dad's unwavering love and relentless dedication. The words poured out like sunlight breaking through dark clouds, resonating deeply with the townsfolk. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her post went viral, igniting an unexpected wave of support from their community. Friends reached out, aching to champion hard work and integrity. For the first time in a long time, Mike felt hope. But with hope came the specter of uncomfortable truths, conversations that either threatened to heal or further divide their once tightly knit community. Just as he was starting to reclaim his dignity, new challenges emerged. Would they rally around him, or would their past biases claw their way back? As he looked at his children, he felt a swelling sense of urgency, uncertain about what tomorrow would bring. As Mike stepped into the house, he could feel a slight tremor in his hands. The warmth of the living room, filled with the remnants of a school project spread across the dining table, made him smile faintly. The smell of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air, a testament to an afternoon well spent between Lily and Sam. Yet, there was a tension mingling with the sweetness, a reminder of unseen struggles. "Daddy, look what I made," Sam exclaimed, holding up a wobbly spaceship crafted from recycled materials. His face, beaming with pride, almost broke Mike's heart. How could he tell Sam about his own struggles? He forced a broad smile, enveloping Sam in an embrace that felt heavy with unspoken words. "That's the coolest spaceship I've ever seen. Buddy, can it fly?" he replied, his voice laced with both affection and sorrow. Lily popped her head in from the kitchen, flour dusting her face like a chef's hat. "I'm making a cake for us to celebrate Dad's new job," she chimed, her excitement palpable. For a moment, Mike's heart soared. But then, reality crashed in again. The job was still uncertain. He wanted to protect her from disappointment, yet he knew he had to let them believe. "Sounds great, honey," he said, squeezing Sam a little tighter. Then the facade began to crumble. "Hey, about the other day, I didn't get the job I interviewed for," he finally blurted out, looking into Lily's eyes, both hopeful and fearful of her response. The room fell silent. Sam's eyes widened, confusion etched on his small face, while Lily's expression shifted from joy to concern in an instant. "But you're going to find another job, right? You always find a way, Dad." Her voice wavered slightly, betraying some of the pressure she felt to buoy him up amidst his struggles. I hope so," he replied, feeling the weight of her expectation. "It's just been hard lately." Lily stepped closer, her aura of optimism dimming but still sparkling. "You're doing your best, Dad, and everyone is talking about how great you are. You just need to keep trying." The words of encouragement from his daughter felt like a balm on his bruised heart. Yet, he couldn't shake off the dread looming in the back of his mind. The next few days passed in a blur. People in the community reached out. They stopped by with casseroles, help around the yard, or simply showed up to check in. Mike felt the strength of their support, but it came with the echoes of his past failures ringing loudly in his ears. One afternoon, while organizing a mountain of bills on the kitchen counter, he sensed the pounding on the door. Opening it revealed an old neighbor, Mr. Thompson, holding a stack of flyers. "Heard about your situation, Mike. We're trying to fundraise for the community. Thought you might want to join us in a charity run. You know, for hard-working folks like you," he said, a genuine smile lighting up his weathered face. Mike's stomach twisted. A fundraiser? Kind-hearted. But would he really put himself out there again? Doubt gnawed at him. "Thanks, Mr. Thompson, but I don't know if I'm up for that," he replied, wrestling internally. "Everyone needs a helping hand sometimes," Mr. Thompson insisted. "You inspire people, Mike. Don't forget that." Those words followed him long after Mr. Thompson left, the pulse of truth painting itself across Mike's thickening doubts. It was easy to get caught up in fear. He felt small, but perhaps there was a flicker of purpose still waiting to emerge from the ashes of despair. Days later, as Halloween approached, something inside him began to shift. The laughter of Lily and Sam bouncing as they picked their costumes brought him back to life. But the specter of his lost hopes still lingered, and a new thought took root. Maybe it was time to step into the light, to connect with others, and let the community help him beat his challenges instead of trying to shoulder it alone. And just as he began considering this daunting yet hopeful path, a notification popped up on his phone. The community's online group had exploded with messages planning the charity run. Would he be bold enough to join? With nauseating anticipation, Mike opened the message. It read, "We want you to lead the event." What lay ahead could change everything. But as he closed his eyes, the dawning question came alive inside him. Was he ready to embrace not only his community's support, but also his own strength? The notification buzzed in Mike's pocket, dragging him back from introspection. He took a deep breath, staring at the screen as if it had the power to reveal the meaning of life. Lead the event. Huh? He muttered to himself, a mix of dread and curiosity washing over him. Wasn't he leading the last thing he felt equipped to do? Still, a small part of him relished the idea. The community's faith in him seemed like a fragile lifeline, one he might clutch in the storm of uncertainty. Later that night, Mike sat at the kitchen table, pushing around the remnants of dinner. Lily was washing the dishes, humming an upbeat tune, while Sam was lost in a world of crayons and paper, diligently drawing his ideas for Halloween. A warm, cozy atmosphere enveloped them, the clinking of dishes pairing with the soft laughter of his children. Yet, All he could think about were the murmurs of doubt lingering in his mind. What if I fail? He whispered to himself. Daddy, can I help? Sam's tiny voice chimed in, pulling Mike from his spiral of thoughts. He looked over to find his son standing by the table, wide-eyed and eager. Of course, buddy. What do you want to do? Mike replied, forcing a smile. I want to draw signs for your race. We can make them super colorful. Sam beamed, clearly proud of his big idea. The sweetness of his son's enthusiasm melted some of Mike's worries. Perhaps there was something in this working with his kids, integrating them into the community, and maybe healing as a family in the process. The fear still lurked, but it felt less suffocating. Yeah, let us do it, Mike said, his heart stirring with a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. As they gathered materials, he felt an unexpected lightness. With each bright-colored marker they swirl around the papers, ideas springing to life, he sensed a spark of that hidden purpose he had been grappling with. Lily joined them a moment later, wiping her hands on a dish towel. What's the plan? She asked, glancing at the drawing frenzy on the table. Sam's designing the signs for the charity run. You should help us, Mike said, inviting her into the world they were creating together. Lily's eyes brightened. She plunged into the task with enthusiasm, her gratitude filling the air. Watching his children, Mike realized they weren't just helping him. They were allowing him to rise above his doubts, to be seen and heard. Together, they shared laughter and moments of playful banter, building something greater than themselves as the evening wore on. Mike felt the shadows of doubt begin to peel back. He realized he didn't have to shoulder this alone. The community, his children, everyone was in this with him. He finally replied to the message, fingers trembling as he typed. I'd love to lead the charity run. How can I help? Just as he hit send, a wave of adrenaline hit him. His heart raced, both in fear and exhilaration. What if this was it? What if stepping forward changed everything? With renewed determination, he looked at his kids, their joy illuminating the dim kitchen. Are you ready for an adventure? He asked, excitement glimmering in his voice. Yeah. Both exclaimed, their eyes shining. But as Mike watched them, a new worry seeped in. What would happen if he couldn't meet their expectations? Just then, the door creaked open. Suddenly, a familiar face peeked in, followed by a few neighbors, with offers of supplies for the run. Mike, we're here to help, they chorused, stomping in with food and energy. In an instant, the potential of this event expanded, more than he had ever imagined. But with this newfound support came a pressing realization. Was he ready to lead not only for himself but for all the faces supporting him, too? As laughter and chatter filled the room, Mike's heart raced with possibility and fear. What if he faltered when it mattered most? As the warmth of community surrounded him, he couldn't shake the impending question. Could he rise to the challenge and truly embrace this new path? The following morning, the sun filtered through the kitchen window, casting warm golden rays on the messy table still adorned with half-finished signs. Mike stood there, a whirlwind of emotions tumbling through him. His heart raced with a mixture of excitement and dread as he prepared for the charity run meeting that day. Daddy, look, I finished my sign. Sam's voice burst through his thoughts, a colorful piece of cardboard held proudly in his little hands. Mike turned to see a bright yellow sign with thick red letters declaring Run for Fun. The childlike exuberance painted on Sam's face made Mike's heart swell, pushing aside some of his anxieties. That's amazing, buddy. You've got real talent. Mike knelt to give his son a big hug. Sam giggled, wrapping his arms around his father's neck. When Lily walked in, hair tousled and eyes still hazy with sleep, she spotted the sign. Wow, Sam. That's awesome. We could use that for the start of the race, she chirped, her voice full of encouragement. Mike felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. If they could rally together as a family, maybe he could lead the charge for the run, too. Yet, the nagging worry returned. What if this was going to be more than he could handle? After all, he wasn't just leading for himself anymore, he was leading for Sam and Lily, for everyone who believed in him. They gathered around the kitchen table again, adrenaline rushing through them as they brainstormed ideas for the charity run. Mike pitched a few thoughts on incorporating games and food stalls, while his kids bounced ideas off each other, their laughter filling the room like music. The atmosphere was electric. But as they prepared to leave for the meeting, reality sunk in. Mike glanced at his reflection in the microwave. The confident expression he saw felt foreign and fragile, like it might shatter at the slightest pressure. What if I mess up? What if I stumble over my words? Dad, you okay? Lily's voice, soft and laced with concern, jolted him back to the moment. Yeah, just thinking, he replied, trying to mask the anxiety that threatened to spill over. Are you ready? They all nodded, their collective excitement palpable as they bundled into the car. The drive was filled with chatter about the run, the kids eagerly detailing their visions, while Mike silently prepared for what lay ahead. When they arrived at the community center, a buzz of familiar faces greeted them. Neighbors waved, laughter bubbled in the air, and for a moment, the warmth of support eased his nerves. Mike felt a flicker of determination rise. He wasn't just a single dad anymore. He was part of a tapestry woven by connections and shared purpose. As he stood at the front of the room, preparing to speak, his heart thudded painfully in his chest. People filled the seats, waiting for him to guide the vision for the run. The collective hope and anticipation stared back at him, a mirror of his own fear and dreams. Thank you, everyone, he began, voice shaking but steadying as he spoke. I'm really excited about this run. With your help, we can make a huge difference. He couldn't ignore the flickers of doubt still creeping in, clinging to him like shadows. What if they thought he wasn't good enough? What if the weight of expectations drowned him? Yet, a small voice nudged at him, urging him forward. As he presented his ideas, facing the sea of familiar faces, he caught sight of Sam, beaming with pride, and Lily, whispering encouragements. Their belief in him ignited a flame within. But just when he thought he was overcoming the hurdles, a man in the back raised his hand, a skeptical look on his face. Mike, what's your experience with organizing events like this? How do we know you can lead us? The room fell quiet. All eyes turned towards him, a spotlight of doubt piercing right through his bravado. Mike's heart sank. What if this was it? The moment everything crumbled? He could feel the pressure rising, panic threatening to pull him under. He took a deep breath, ready to respond. Could he rise to this challenge and show them and himself what he was capable of? The stakes had never felt higher. But just as he opened his mouth to speak, the door swung open again, revealing an unexpected visitor that could change everything. The door swung open with a creak that echoed through the room, drawing all eyes to the entrance. Mike's heart raced even faster, his mind reeling as he tried to piece together the sudden turn of events. In walked Sarah, his college friend, and someone he hadn't seen in years. She stood there, a warm smile on her face, but Mike could see the surprise in her eyes as she took in the crowd and the familiar faces. Mike, is that you? She exclaimed, joy breaking through her initial confusion. Sarah, what are you doing here? He managed to reply, his nerves momentarily forgotten. She stepped forward, her energy brightening the tense atmosphere. I heard about the charity run. Thought I'd come and see how I could help. Her smile was infectious, and Mike felt the warmth from her presence wrap around him like a comforting blanket. But as he stood there, a wave of anxiety washed over him again. Would her support help or hinder him? Surely people expected more from him now that she was here, a successful event planner in her own right. The skeptical man from the back spoke again, snapping Mike back into the fray. So we can just watch the real pro run this thing instead. There were chuckles, but Mike felt the weight of them like stones in his stomach. Actually, Sarah said brightly, turning toward the man, I'd love to help out. Mike is already doing an incredible job leading the way. Her voice rang out like a clarion call, grounding Mike even as he felt his confidence waver. The man seemed taken aback, perhaps not expecting this twist. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, and even though Mike's anxiety tightened around him, he felt a spark of hope ignite. Maybe Sarah's presence was just what he needed. Grateful for her support, he took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined not to let fear win. Thank you, Sarah. Then he looked at the crowd, gathering his courage. I may not have experience organizing events, but I have a vision. This run is about more than just the charity. It's about our community coming together. My kids believe in this, and that makes it worth fighting for. He glanced at Sam and Lily, whose eyes shone with pride. They were smiles that fueled him, reminding him that this was for them. Here's a little funny thing I learned recently, he added, feeling the warmth of connection and nostalgia from Sarah's presence. I'm not a pro, but I'm learning just like anyone else. The mood in the room began to shift, tension easing as people leaned in, captivated by his honesty. A couple of familiar faces nodded in agreement. Sarah chimed in again, and that's the best way to grow, I senti it? Her eyebrows raised, urging the crowd to share in the energy she was generating. Slowly, hands started to rise around the room, one after another. People were showing their willingness to help. Ideas and offers came flooding in, tables, volunteers, even connections to local businesses who could sponsor. As Mike soaked in the encouragement, he felt his heart swell. He realized the worry that had clawed at him was fading. Perhaps he was ready for this after all. But just as he thanked everyone for their support, the door swung open again, this time ushering in someone else he hadn't seen in years. His pulse quickened as he recognized the face. Was that Matt? The person who had once been his closest confidant but had drifted away when life got complicated? What was he doing here? And just like that, the stakes continued to rise once more as old memories and unresolved issues threatened to resurface, potentially changing everything as Mike grappled not only with the event but with the ghosts of his past. Would he be able to face Matt and still focus on the run? The night was still young, and the challenges were piling up. But maybe, just maybe, this unexpected reunion could be the catalyst Mike needed to rise above the doubts once and for all. Matt stepped into the room and the air thickened. Time seemed to freeze as Mike and Matt locked eyes, an unspoken history crackling between them. There was so much left unsaid, so many years of silence that had turned to thick walls. Matt's voice was hesitant, like he was wading into deep water. He shuffled forward, his gaze darting from Mike to Sarah and then back again. Is this a bad time? Mike cleared his throat, the knot in it a reminder of their last conversation, the abrupt ending that felt like both a betrayal and a loss. He forced a smile, trying to mask the tightness in his chest. No, it's fine. He glanced at the crowd still buzzing with energy. We're in the middle of planning a charity run for the kids. Matt nodded slowly, processing the new dynamics unfolding. I heard. The community needs a boost, especially after everything. His eyes darted to Sarah, then back to Mike, probing for answers. Yeah, Mike replied, feeling the urge to defend his endeavor, as if it was a fragile creature that could be snatched away with the wind. We're trying to bring people together. Together, Matt echoed, his tone almost wistful. It's good to see that. The words hung heavy between them, filled with the weight of missed connections. But before Mike could respond, Sarah, ever the social glue, stepped in. Matt, it's great you're here. We need all hands on deck for this. Her enthusiasm lit up the room, drawing attention away from the brewing storm. How can you help? The shift felt bizarre to Mike. While Sarah brought energy, Matt's presence tugged at old wounds. You can't just step back in. This I senti like something we can sweep under the rug, Mike thought, even as he nodded non-committally. Well, I might know some people who could help with donations, Matt offered, his voice steady despite the tension swirling around them. See, Sarah exclaimed, her excitement filling the void Matt had created. This is exactly what we need. But Mike found himself caught between gratitude and doubt. Why now? He wondered, his mind racing. Why hadn't Matt reached out before? There was no denying how much their friendship had meant to him. The memories surged forward, laughing until their sides hurt, sharing secrets late into the night. He missed those carefree days, but that was before life had turned complicated. The room now felt charged with possibilities, a tapestry of old friendships reweaving themselves under the surface. People moved closer, palpable energy buzzing through the crowd. They wanted to be part of something meaningful. Mike could feel hope blossoming in his chest, a flimsy flower fighting against cold winds. "Let us meet after this," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I think there's a lot we need to talk about." Matt met his eyes with a flicker of relief. "Yeah, I do like that." But as Mike turned back to the group, hoping to steer the conversation into practical matters, a sense of foreboding settled in. He couldn't shake the feeling that resolving old friendships wasn't just difficult, it could become the very crux of this whole event. Would he be able to juggle planning and rebuilding trust? And while they organized for the run, was he ready to face the truth behind their distance? As laughter and chatter filled the space again, Mike's heart raced. The night held promise. Yes, yet it also threatened to unleash a storm he wasn't sure he could weather. How could he navigate both the charity run and a rekindled friendship when the past loomed like a shadow? The challenge felt monumental, but there was no turning back. All he could do was take a deep breath and dive into the whirlpool. The stakes were higher than ever. Would he manage to pull it all together? Or would the unresolved tensions pull him under? Mike focused on the mingling crowd, fighting the rush of memories that threatened to drown him. He could feel his heart pounding, each beat a reminder of what stood at stake, not just the charity run, but the fragile thread of friendship he'd taken for granted as more people approached to offer their ideas. Laughter mixed with the sweet scent of baked goods floating from the back. Sarah darted from group to group, her excitement infectious, making Mike's resolve waver. He wanted to be part of the community, to bring everyone together. Yet here was Matt, standing in the doorway like a ghost from another life. "Mike," Sarah called, pulling him back to the moment. "We should organize a quick meeting. We need to nail down details before the big day." He nodded, a small smile forming on his lips, but his thoughts were lost in Matt's steady gaze. There was history there, and it continues flickering like a broken light bulb, illuminating shadows from the past they both held. "Hey, I'll get more chairs," he said, forcing himself to step away. As he maneuvered through the crowd, he spotted a few familiar faces, a few people hesitantly eyeing Matt. They were just as unsure as Mike. It hadn't been easy to forget what happened, nor would it be simple to just carry on as if nothing had changed. "You've got this," he muttered under his breath, seeking encouragement in the chaos. Minutes later, back near the epicenter of activity, Mike watched as Sarah mapped out the event on a large whiteboard. Names were thrown around, and ideas bounced like basketballs. Still, there was something gnawing at him. How could they truly rebuild the community spirit with old wounds still festering beneath? "Hey, I'm back," Matt said, drawing closer, the shadow of doubt still lingering. "What have I missed?" Mike forced a chuckle, gesturing to the chaotic board. "Oh, just the usual. Everyone wants to fund the kids' soccer teams, start a pancake breakfast, fix the park's playground. It's everything and nothing." "Sounds like a lot," Matt said, attempting a smile, though his eyes betrayed uncertainty. The atmosphere shifted. Friends from their past were watching them, eyes darting between Mike and Matt, hoping for a spark that felt daunting to ignite. Everyone was eager, but Mike sensed a divide. Could they really put everything back together? Did they even want to? "Why now, Matt?" The question flew from his lips before he could stop it. Matt looked taken aback, his brow furrowing with concern. "I came back because I heard about the charity run," he replied, sincerity in his voice. "I know that after everything, it might seem like I'm just trying to jump back in, but I want to help and maybe patch things up. If I can do that while doing something good, that means a lot to me." The confession lingered between them, heavy yet vulnerable. Mike felt the tension ebb, but uncertainty still bubbled beneath the surface. He wanted to believe. He wanted to forgive. But with every shared glance, the weight of their past felt suffocating. Then, as if sensing their private storm, Sarah chimed in, "All right, team, let us get things sorted out. We need everyone's ideas." Her enthusiasm was infectious, yet Mike could see that some of their friends still held back, waiting for the fissures to resolve before they fully engaged. As the evening progressed, they exchanged tentative smiles, catching each other's gaze amidst the jokes and planning. Each moment, each word shared, began to feel like a tiny step into the murk of uncertainty. Could they really carve a new path? But just as things began to settle, the sharp ring of Mike's phone interrupted. He glanced down, frowning at the unfamiliar number. He hesitated but answered. His heart raced as the voice on the other end delivered unexpected news. Something that could change everything they were building. "Mike, we need to talk about your father. It's important." His stomach dropped. What now? What more could he possibly face? As he looked across the room, he felt the ground shifting beneath him once more. Would this news tear him away from everything he was beginning to mend? Would he have to choose again? The room spun slightly as Mike pulled the phone from his ear, the voice fading in a whirlpool of confusion. "What about my father?" he managed, his pulse quickening, a slow dread building. The chatter around him faded into a muffled background, laughter echoing hollowly as he gripped the phone harder. "Mike, it's really urgent. Can you meet me tomorrow?" The caller didn't say who they were, and that only deepened his unease. "Tomorrow where?" "Just meet me at the diner on Main. I'll explain everything." And just like that, the call ended, leaving Mike holding nothing but the empty air. He blinked, forcing himself to re-enter the buzz of the gathering. Sarah was busy jotting down ideas, Matt was chatting with a couple of old friends, but all Mike could think about was his father. The weight of his absence loomed large, pressing down on Mike's chest like a stone. They had a complicated history, one filled with unspoken words and unshed tears. "What's going on?" Sarah's voice cut through his thoughts. She was watching him closely, her brow knitted with concern. "Nothing," he said a little too quickly. "Just family stuff." She didn't buy it. "Mike, you look pale." "I'm fine," he lied, forcing a smile. But fine didn't feel like it. Not with the specter of tomorrow hanging over him. After all these years, facing the past felt like opening a door that had long been bolted shut. Matt approached, his demeanor a mix of curiosity and concern. "You okay?" "Just got a call about my dad," Mike admitted reluctantly. He could see the surprise and perhaps a flicker of understanding in Matt's eyes. "Is everything all right?" "Not sure yet. I have to meet someone tomorrow," Mike replied, sensing Matt's hesitation. It was strange to find comfort in their shared history again, a bond from much earlier that they were still tentatively trying to rebuild. "Let me know if you need me," Matt offered quietly. "Sure." But did he even want help? The thought burned in his gut, a reminder of everything that had happened as the night wore on. Mike could hardly focus. Ideas flitted by, the pancake breakfast proposal morphing into a school fundraiser and then into talk of a new sports league. Laughter rang out from around him, but the lightness felt distant. He stole glances at Matt and Sarah, their smiles pure, but that tugged at his heart. Could he do it? Could he face his father after all these years? The uncertainty churned inside him, and for every step toward healing, the shadows of the past grew darker and ever more defined. The meeting dwindled, plans set in motion but lives still uneasy. When he finally stepped outside, he felt the cool air hit him like a splash of cold water. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the dread. Maybe tomorrow would bring clarity, or chaos. As he walked to his car, he looked up at the night sky, and for a moment, he thought of the stars, how they could guide him if only he knew what he was searching for. Just then, his phone buzzed again, a text this time. His heart raced as he read it. "Mike, it's urgent. Please don't tell anyone. I found something about your dad." His heart sank. What could it possibly be? Now he felt the weight of his past crashing down. This unexpected twist could change everything he thought he knew. With every decision looming ahead, he felt a rising tide of fear and hope battling inside him. What was the truth? And would it heal him or pull him deeper into darkness? The diner was a small, familiar place nestled at the corner of Main Street. Mike stepped inside, the familiar smell of coffee and pancakes hitting him like a wave of nostalgia. Brightly colored booths lined the walls, their faux leather cracked and worn, but it was homey enough. He scanned the room, half expecting to see a face he recognized. Instead, his eyes landed on a stranger. She was seated in a booth at the back, her dark hair pulled into a loose bun, a notebook open in front of her. Mike felt a mix of apprehension and curiosity as he made his way over. The call had sparked something in him, a flicker of hope tangled with fear. "Mike?" she asked, looking up with an intensity that made him feel exposed. "Yeah, that's me," he replied, sliding into the seat across from her. "I'm Jenna." She held a tense smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Thanks for coming. What did you find out about my dad?" The urgency in his voice surprised even him. Jenna hesitated, glancing briefly around the diner before locking eyes with him. "I can't go into too much detail here," she whispered, lowering her voice. "But I discovered something serious about his past, something that might change everything." "What do you mean?" His stomach knotted, dread pooling in the pit of his gut. "He wasn't the man you thought he was," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "He was involved in some things that could have implications for you and your family." "What kind of things?" "Please just trust me. I have photos, documents, evidence that I can show you. But this isn't just about your father. It's about protecting you too." Each word felt heavy with consequence. Mike leaned back, trying to wrap his mind around her words. "You said you can't share much. Why not? Who are you? Why are you doing this?" "I'm researching a project," she said, looking away for a moment. "But when I stumbled onto your dad's name, let's just say, the more I uncovered, the more I realized you needed to know." A mixture of anger and confusion surged through him. "You mean to tell me that you've been digging into his life without my permission?" "I didn't start with that intent," she protested, her eyes pleading. "But you have to understand that it could affect your future. There are people who want to keep this quiet." The world around him blurred, sounds fading to a dull hum. Mike felt an electric jolt of realization. What if the truth of his father wasn't just a chapter in a book, but a whole new story that could upend his life? He suddenly found it hard to breathe. "You're telling me my entire understanding of who he was is a lie?" Jenna nodded slowly, the weight of her confirmation pressing down on him. "It's more complicated than you think." Time seemed to stretch as Mike's mind raced with chaotic thoughts. Of course, there had been mysteries, but this felt like the ground was shifting beneath his feet. Memories of playing catch in the backyard, laughter filled with warmth and safety, they all threatened to crumble around him. "What do I do now?" His voice cracked slightly, revealing the storm brewing within. "You need to look at the evidence first," Jenna urged. "But think carefully about how you want to handle what you find. Can't be undone." As she slid a folder across the table, Mike felt the tremble in his hands. Everything he thought he knew began to feel like a fragile illusion. He opened it slowly, and as he did, a photo fell out face down. What was he getting himself into? He took a deep breath, preparing for the worst. What would he find? Just then, his phone buzzed again, another alert lighting up the screen. "Stay away from this, Mike, you don't know who's watching." His heart raced. Who else was involved? The truth was unveiling itself dangerously, and he didn't even know if he was ready. Would it shatter him or help him finally move forward? And at what cost? Mike sat across from Jenna, the folder between them feeling heavier than the weight of the world on his shoulders. His heart pounded as he hesitated, staring at the photograph that had fallen from its confines. He could feel the pulse of anxiety permeate every inch of his being. With a tentative hand, he reached for the photo. The image was grainy but unmistakable. A man, unmistakably his father, stood with a group of people Mike had never seen before, all smiles and drinks raised in celebration. But the backdrop, it was a dimly lit room that resembled a bar or private club. Memories of family gatherings and weekends spent laughing around the dinner table felt distant, as if swallowed by the shadows of this new revelation. What is this?" he whispered, feeling the room spin around him. "That's what I'm trying to show you. Your dad's past, he wasn't just a father, Mike. He was involved in some shady dealings. I have documents that trace back to when he was part of a group that's been linked to illegal activities. This isn't just about him. It could put you and your family at risk," she explained, her voice solemn. Stunned, Mike leaned back, grappling with the sheer amount of betrayal slamming into him. But why? He never mentioned anything about this. Why would he keep it from me? Because sometimes the past comes with consequences, and not everyone can bear to share it, Jenna replied, her empathy crystallizing the gravity of the situation. Now that you know, it's up to you to decide how to handle it. He ran a hand across his face, the weight of decisions pressing down relentlessly. Could he confront his father? Or should he let sleeping dogs lie and protect his family from any fallout? A million thoughts whipped through his mind. Shame, anger, disbelief, and fear. Would addressing this destroy his father's memory? Or could it lead to clarity? Throughout the tumult in his heart, another possibility emerged. What if he could reshape the narrative? Perhaps this was a chance to redefine not just his relationship with his father, but also his understanding of family and community. Maybe honesty, no matter how painful, could spark something beautiful. Where do I start? Mike asked, a fire igniting within him. I need to confront this head-on. I can't let what I don't know dictate my life, my children's lives. Jenna nodded, her expression shifting from concern to admiration. I suggest you talk to him, make it unambiguous that you want the truth. But be prepared. It may change your relationship forever. Let it change, Mike replied, newfound determination coursing through every beat of his heart. I've spent too long hiding behind fears and failures. It's time to face what's real. As he left the diner, the weight of the folder felt less constrictive, a burden shared, a secret exposed. He thought of Lily and Sam, their bright smiles a catalyst for courage. They deserved a father ready to fight for what was right, not one cowering in shadows. The cool night air stroked his face as he stepped outside, filled with a blend of trepidation and hope. He felt alive, as if igniting the dwindling embers of a fire that had flickered for far too long. Tomorrow, he would seek his father, and together they would either forge a new path or dismantle the walls echoing with past sins. Relief washed over him. Whether chaos or clarity awaited, at least he would be true to himself, no longer shackled by denial. The world around him continued to spin, unaware of the storm brewing inside him. Yet Mike felt steady, ready to face the revelations ahead. After a few moments of contemplation, he reached for his phone, sending a text. Dad, we need to talk. It's important. A simple message, yet the urgency crackled in the air. The response was quicker than he expected. What's it about? The leap of reassurance landed him squarely into the unknown. Mike took a deep breath and replied, something about your past that you never told me. The realization settled deep within him, a fusion of gravity and necessity. Tomorrow he would step into the light. No more shadows, just truth. As he drove home, a thought engulfed him. Life was about to change forever. But whatever came next, he would tackle it with his heart wide open. He could feel the warmth of hope wrapping around him like a beloved embrace. The journey wasn't merely about uncovering the past, but about sparking transformation both for himself and the ones he loved. That realization filled him with purpose, igniting the bright flame of possibility that colored his world as he pulled into his driveway. He looked up at the stars dotting the night sky, finding newfound courage shimmering in their brilliance. Let us do this, he whispered, a firm yet excited resolve settling over him like a warm blanket. Tomorrow would be a new day. He stepped inside, surrounded by the familiar sounds of laughter and warmth, feeling the weight of connection as he embraced Lily and Sam. Together, they stood on the precipice of history, ready to tackle whatever came next. As light seeped through the cracks, hope shone brightly in their home, proof that even tangled pasts could lead to an inspiring future. Now, if you found this story moving, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to our channel to keep up with our exclusive stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help us reach more hearts like yours. Don't forget to comment your thoughts on this powerful ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Let us spread the light together so no one misses out. The time is now. Don't wait not even one more second.